It is time for when we discuss our debut segment. We discuss the serious issues of the day. And tonight we're talking weed, and more weed, and weed legalization. It's time for Pothead Punditry. Our nation stands on the brink. Every day brings new federal encroachments that take our freedoms and strangle our will. There comes a time when the silliness must take a back seat to the serious issues of the day. The time is now. It's time to fight back and reclaim the freedom that is rightfully ours. It is time to discuss the serious issues of the day with Stoner Jesus's Pothead Punditry. That's right. There's a time for seriousness, and that time is now. Because as you know, there's a lot going on in California, across the nation, and we like to talk about it. For some reason right now, I guess just to be a bitch, the 420times.com is giving me problems. But I have a list here of the stories that I want to talk about. The first one is the new Gallup poll. Those of you who don't know Gallup, they are a very respected worldwide organization or whatnot. When it comes to polling, they poll presidential races and all that bullshit. But they've been taking marijuana legalization numbers since 1969. And when you think of 1969, you think of pot smoking, you think of the hippies out at the music festivals blazing the weed. Oh, I doubt that Gallup was out there surveying the hippies and what they thought of marijuana. It was most probably more of the older folk. But anyway, back in 1969, when Gallup first started taking the marijuana legalization poll, there was 12% was the favorability. Now, well, up to last year was 46%. This year is 50% of people they polled are in favor of marijuana legalization. That is an awesome number, and it's a majority for the first time in Gallup's history. And there's a lot of people, people get on TV and they're whining and say, oh, well, it's a poll, it's one poll, blah, 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 blah. You don't see the writing on the wall. And that is your downfall. They're going to get more shrill as time goes on because they know they're losing. They know there's no reason to not legalize marijuana. There was an interesting debate, which you can find on the 420times.com, between Alan St. Pierre, who is the executive director of NORML, and some douchebag. I forget his name. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. They're all the same drones spitting the same bullshit. This guy was talking about, well, when we talk about tax money being raised from marijuana legalization, it's really a false argument because it doesn't stand up to analysis because the societal costs. He says, first of all, under legalization, pot smoking will double and maybe triple, which, first of all, is just not true. There's not a ton of people who the only reason they're not smoking weed right now is because it's illegal. If they want to smoke weed, they're going to go fucking smoke it. I'm not saying that it won't go up some because of, I don't know if the number of people smoking would go up. Consumption will certainly go up if price drops as it's supposed to under full legalization, which is the whole fucking point of undercutting the black market and the drug cartels and whatever. We'll get to the drug cartels here in a minute because the shit that's going down in Mexico is fucked up. But as I said, it's all a part of our drug war and our consumption of drugs and the inflated prohibition prices we pay for our drugs. All that money goes to fucking guns, to kill people, to chop the heads off school children. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We're talking about the Gallup poll. We're talking about this dickhead that who was debating Alan St. Pierre. He says, well, the marijuana use will double and triple, meaning if you accept the figure that there's 17 million regular, like almost daily pot users in this country, he's saying that number will go to maybe 34 million or maybe 50 million plus. Over 50 million people. That's another 30 million plus people smoking weed just because it's legal. That's not going to happen. But let's say it does. His next point is, well, the societal cost of marijuana will double and triple as well. He means the supposed stone drivers who are out there supposedly killing people, and the so-called the increase in emergency room visits, which there are none. And they'll say, well, the number one substance found in drivers, besides alcohol, of course, is and people who go to the emergency room is marijuana. First of all, marijuana stays in your system for a very long fucking time. And you can go look that shit up on Google. I'm not going to go into the scientifics of why marijuana stays in your system and why it binds to your fat cells or whatnot. This isn't a science program. Right now we're doing a political talk. The point is, blood tests are useless for marijuana if you're measuring impairment or whatnot. But it also accounts for the supposed it's in people's systems more than any other drug. Of course, they don't fucking count the legal, so-called legal prescription drugs, and shit like heroin and cocaine just doesn't stay in your system. Plus, it's not as widely used as marijuana is, which of course goes in the whole gateway drug theory. There should just be just as many hardcore drug users as there are marijuana users, but the discrepancy is huge. Marijuana dwarfs everything. You take all the other legal drugs combined, marijuana use is much higher by tens of millions of people. Anyway, this douchebag is saying, well, the societal cost, emergency room visits, stone driving, all that bullshit will double and triple, and that will wipe out the money made from taxes. Of course, use won't go up that much. It may go up slightly because of the price drop, or consumption will go up at least. And as far as emergency room visits and shit for marijuana, go look it up. Go look up car crashes that were determined to be caused by marijuana and emergency room visits determined to be caused by marijuana. They're nil. If you're talking that synthetic bullshit, that sends thousands of people. That shit you should be able to buy at the gas stations, the incense, and the whatever. That shit will send you to the emergency room, freaking out and hallucinating, all the other bullshit. But marijuana has nothing to do with that. Marijuana is not a part of the emergency room visits or the so-called stone driving. Alcohol is what kills people on the roadways, not marijuana. Yeah, you shouldn't combine the two. You shouldn't combine marijuana and alcohol and drive. You shouldn't drink alcohol at all and drive. But there are many studies that say that smoking marijuana alone actually makes you a more cautious driver. But as I said, this is not a science program. I'm not going to get into that right now. The point is, people are freaking out. The opponents of marijuana legalization are freaking out because of the 50% number, and they know that the end is near. Also, in California, we'll get into Mexico here in a minute. In California, the California Doctors Association, which is the California Medical Association, which is the largest group of doctors in California, 35,000 physicians are members. Their board of trustees or whatever said that they are for the legalization of marijuana, so they can be taken out of Schedule 1 federally and be allowed research on it. Because they say they were very condescending to medical marijuana people when they said it. That all this is like an old folk remedy, like it's some fucking witch doctor bullshit. But the bottom line is they're for the legalization of marijuana. Their reasoning is they want to research it and find out exactly what it can do, and we're all for that. Research it all you want. Let me go check my clock here. We got a few minutes. Let me get into the Mexico situation, because there's a video on the 420times.com. The name of the post is Santa Muerte, the culture of death prohibition has brought to Mexico. Basically, the people of Mexico are very Catholic and they're very religious. They're all of Spanish descent, and Spain is heavily Catholic. In excess of 95% of the people are Catholic. But this culture of death business, there's a saint, the saint, the Grim Reaper, the saint of death, whatever, is the third most worshipped deity in Mexico right now, behind Jesus and Mary, is the angel of death, or whatever you want to call him or her. Basically, drug prohibition in the United States and down in Mexico has caused, like I said, the inflated prices for the drugs, which they use to buy guns. And right now they have a stranglehold, the drug cartels do, in Mexico. The officials are bought. The police are bought if they're not scared out of their minds. They're leaving people who Twitter and Facebook about cartel activities were hung from a bridge with their guts cut open so that their intestines could pour out. An elementary school, teachers were talking about the what was going on with the cartels. So the cartels left a bag of severed heads next to the playground. They will kill people, rape, murder, whatever they need to do to protect this money, and it all has to do with mainly Mexico. Well, not Mexico, mainly United States, mainly. We consume most of the drugs that come from Mexico. Obviously, we have the money to buy them. Mexicans don't. Mexicans are poor as shit, and the rich ones are leaving Mexico. There's no fucking such thing as a rich Mexican anymore in Mexico if you're not a drug dealer or part of the drug cartels. If you're not a criminal and you're a rich Mexican, you've moved to Texas or wherever. And this shit, and there's been stories before about how in 1,000 cities nationwide, the cartels now have a presence in this country. So it's just a matter of time before they have enough money and enough power. They're already coming across the border. They're coming across the border to kill people. Let me see if I can find this one story. You have to bear with me a little bit, but you will, because you're very interested in this. This is very serious shit that's going on. It's a story about basically the Mexican military coming into this country and intimidating people. Where's the search on this mother effing site? Don't know. Man, if you're going to have a site, man, I'm on Infowars.com right now, which is a very good site. But it has a little thing that says search. You have a box, man. You gotta have a box. What would I even search for? I don't know. We'll put Mexican military. See if it comes up. No. There's a video of the Mexican army crossing the border. This was a recent story. I don't know. This is not listed in order of like date. What the fuck's the point of that? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, the shit spilling over the border is my fucking point, and it's fucked up. And you have to ask, what the fuck are we gonna do about it? So far, the answer is nothing. We're not gonna do shit. We're going to let these people die, and when it starts coming over the border, it's going to be too late. I mean, what are we going to do? Throw out all the Mexicans? Just so we can make sure that we have got we got all the bad ones, all the cartels, and all that bullshit? Of course not. They're going to be here, and there's going to be nothing we can do about it. And then everybody's going to be bitching and whining and complaining. So, oh, what are we going to do? We're full of fucking cartel members in every city, and they're buying off our cops, and it's just like alcohol prohibition all over again. Except for Al Capone, it's Jose Guzman or whatever. See, nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit until it's too late, and then you're fucked. What are you gonna do? And Obama, of course, and the federal government are busy going after medical marijuana. There's a story on the 420times.com. Yesterday, medical marijuana advocates took to the streets of San Diego, about 250 of them, to march to the federal courthouse from the city hall to protest not only the U.S. attorney, who sent out a letter to hundreds of collectives and dispensaries in San Diego, telling them they have 45 days to shut down. Then the city of San Diego, with their new, with the way they're zoned, and a federal court, not federal court, a superior court judge in California upheld their zoning, saying it didn't violate state law, means that every single collective and dispensary in San Diego has to shut down. So if you're a medical marijuana patient in San Diego and you get your medicine from a collective or a dispensary, you're fucked. You either have to grow your own. If you can't do that, you gotta go buy it from a drug dealer and support the cartels. Those are your choices, and those are the choices they left you with. But what are you gonna do? They're gonna throw these motherfuckers out. You gotta elect people like Ron Paul as president, and quit making excuses for Obama, who's a goddamn puppet and can't do shit on his own. Other medical marijuana news. A medical marijuana dispensary, a proposed medical marijuana dispensary in San Francisco is suing the city who approved of the dispensary and then said, no, you cannot open your dispensary. So the owner, Greg Shep of the Bay Area Compassion Health Center, which would be the only medical marijuana dispensary on the west side of San Francisco, is suing the city of San Francisco, which is thought to be the first ever instance of a dispensary suing the city over the right to sell legal medical marijuana. So, we hope they win. Fuck it. It's bullshit. Whether it's state or whether it's federal, what's the point? What's the point of denying people medicine if it helps them? I don't know. And sometimes I wonder if anybody gives a shit. And that is why I have carved out a segment in my very popular comedy show to talk about these issues and to bring them to you. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you just want to hear comedy. That's too bad. I'm going to ear rape you with seriousness. Ear raping being a very technical term for me talking and you listening. You got to absorb this shit. You got to, follow the 420times.com, Infowars.com, all that shit, and see what's going on. Don't be asleep. Don't fucking sleep through your life and then you wonder what the fuck happened. You wonder why there's gunshots and there's a fucking gang war outside your house. And why your kids are taking stray bullets. You wonder what the fuck, why the fuck did I do anything? What was I doing? I was smoking weed. Yeah, that's cool. But there's more to that. Be an advocate online, whatever. Go sign a fucking petition on the White House website. Do something. Tweet a story about legalization. When there's shit going outside your fucking house, when there's gang wars and all that other shit, and there's no one to turn to because the police department's so fucking corrupt that they're owned by the gangs, and we have a dickhead in the White House, as we always do, it's going to be too late. You're going to wonder why I didn't do more then. Well, get off your ass and do it. Quit fucking whining and complaining and all other bullshit, and just go fucking do it. Hey, we have somebody in the chat room. Billy Lindsay said, is this chat live? Indeed it is. I'm glad I could answer your question. You've been listening to Pothead Punditry. My plan is to take these segments and make YouTube videos out of them and put them on our YouTube channel and on potheadpundit.blogspot.com, which is a Pothead Pundit TV network run by the Stoner Jesus Show. Hopefully all that will work out. But that was the serious issues of the day. Now we can get back to the craziness of what we got coming up. We're going to play some music first. This is from Mini Blaze, who I was talking about earlier. It's called I'ma Smoke Weed, featuring Murder Mook. Murder Mook. He's going to smoke weed. So listen to him rap about smoking weed. And we'll be back right after this. That was Pothead Punditry, and this is the Stoner Jesus Show live.
Yeah, it's your boy Mini